Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I am Dr. Dawson, and today we are going to tackle yet another one of the viruses that are in the Canine Distemper combo vaccine. These are the three diseases that we vaccinate for in dogs most commonly. Almost all of the distemper combo vaccines that are in the US do contain the three viruses: Canine Distemper, Parvo, and infectious canine hepatitis virus. So today we're going to talk about this virus, and let's get started. So this virus, infectious canine hepatitis, otherwise known as Canine Adenovirus 1, is a virus that occurs in dogs, and it causes inflammation of the liver is kind of the primary complaint. So hepa is the prefix in Latin for liver, and so it's inflammation, itis, of the liver, hepatitis, which is inflammation of the liver. And that's probably the most common thing that we see. And this virus tends to have somewhere between 10 and 30% mortality rate in dogs. Now, one of the things with this virus is that it is an adenovirus. Now, an adenovirus is a specific class of viruses that basically encompasses a whole bunch of viruses that infect a lot of different species. And adenoviruses in people will often cause like conjunctivitis or pink eye, as well as common colds and other respiratory type infections. This virus is not nearly as ubiquitous as Canine Distemper once was. It is much less common than it used to be, and it's still a lot less common than Canine Parvovirus is. And part of this is because although it will last quite a long time in the environment, up to about a month, it does tend to be pretty easily destroyed by a lot of different things, including sunlight and disinfectants that'll take care of parvovirus. So it is a pretty easily destroyed virus, unlike some of the other ones. Now, this virus can infect and affect many other different parts of the body, including the skin, the GI tract, the eyes, as well as, like the liver, like I already mentioned, and the respiratory tract. So it can be pretty nondescript, and sometimes it can look a lot like Canine Distemper virus. It could even look like Parvovirus, it could look like lepto, it could look like a lot of other things. And so it can be really challenging to diagnose even if a dog does have this disease. So how is this virus spread? Well, it is spread through saliva, feces, urine, and like I said before, it can stay in the environment for up to a month in the right circumstances. And so a dog can be gone for a long period of time in a kennel. If the kennel's not cleaned appropriately, another dog that goes in could potentially get this virus. Now, the clinical signs of this disease that we typically will see is a fever, and then conjunctivitis is typically the first thing that we see. We can also see things like diarrhea or hemorrhaging, so like petechial hemorrhaging. I'll show a picture up on the screen. Corneal edema, other things have also been reported as well. So it has a wide variety of clinical signs. Treatment is very much the same as it is for many of these other viruses that we've talked about, and that's almost all supportive care. So things that we're doing to help the body be able to fight the virus off on its own. We don't have any specific antivirals to treat it like we do for influenza, say, in people, but we are able to give some antibiotics sometimes to help fight off secondary infections. So sometimes what'll happen is a virus will come in and cause damage to, say, the liver or the respiratory tract or the GI tract, and that will allow a bacteria to get in where it's not supposed to. And so basically giving antibiotics to try to prevent these bacteria that aren't supposed to be in the respiratory tract, aren't supposed to be in the crossing across the GI tract, things like that. We're trying to prevent them from taking hold and causing bacterial infections. Now, probably one of the most interesting things about this virus is the fact that in dogs there is another virus that is called the Canine Adenovirus 2. And now Canine Adenovirus 2, or CAV2, is a virus in dogs that primarily will cause issues to the eye. So it'll mostly cause viral pink eye. Now, it's not super common in dogs anymore either. For most of our canine adenovirus vaccines, most of them are going to be a modified live virus. But they're not going to be a modified live of CAV1, or the one that causes infectious canine hepatitis. But instead, they're going to be a modified live of CAV2. And part of this is because the modified lives of CAV1 caused a lot more clinical signs, and sometimes we still got more disease than with the other vaccine. But the really cool thing with this is CAV2 has very close association with how the outer coatings of the virus look to the immune system. And so basically we get a lot of cross-reactivity. So if a dog gets CAV2, they are never going to get CAV1 because the immunity lasts so long with a natural infection of the not so bad virus that it will actually protect against the bad virus. So instead, what scientists did is they took CAV2 and created a modified live that causes very minimal disease, and they put it in a vaccine. Now, this vaccine is very effective in preventing infection with infectious canine hepatitis, but it also has the added benefit of, while this vaccine is being given, it actually will replicate. The virus replicates in the body. And this is very similar to, say, an influenza vaccine that's intranasal, is a modified live, where the virus actually is there, it replicates. It maybe will cause very minor disease, but it creates a much better immune response than just killing the virus and putting it in a vaccine. So when a dog is infected with CAV2 with the modified live virus, we'll call it an infection, but it's really an immunization. They actually can sometimes spread this vaccine virus to other dogs. And this is probably why, since the introduction of this vaccine back in the 80s and 90s, that we've seen so few cases of this anywhere where vaccines are given. So most of the places across the world that get this virus frequently are third world countries, in places where canine vaccines are not developed. If they exist at all, it's going to be just a rabies vaccine, or if you're lucky, a distemper vaccine. But who knows if these vaccines are even being handled appropriately and are effective. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sure this video is not going to get nearly the traction that some of my other videos get, but I find that it is very important to offer these educational moments for you guys, because there's not a lot known in the general public about what we do in veterinary medicine, and my passion really is going to be to unlock a lot of this information. So I spent $280,000 on my tuition by the time I'm starting to pay them back, and that's a lot of money for a lot of this information, and I want to share it with you guys, because you guys are really important, and the more you know and understand about your pet's health, the better the discussion is going to be with your veterinarian when you're like, I don't understand why you're doing this. And that really is my passion, is to give you guys the tools to understand your pet's health better, to understand how medicine in general works. And that's why I created a vaccine video series about human vaccines from a veterinarian's perspective, because I find that, again, that's another topic that a lot of misinformation is put out. And some of that is actually coming into veterinary medicine. And I'm getting people who are like, I don't want to vaccinate my dog. I don't want to vaccinate my cat. I don't want to do that. And so hopefully this video can really help you guys understand what the vaccines are for, what the rationale is, and also as to how effective a lot of these vaccines have been in preventing or completely eliminating some of these diseases. So if you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel and will allow me to keep producing these videos and keep giving you guys the education that you guys are hoping for. If you haven't already, I have a series on canine rabies and in rabies in general, a little bit on the history of the virus and some of the pop culture references that I sort of stole from a book called Rabid. Also, the Parvo and Distemper vaccine videos are going to be linked in the description below and on the end card, so feel free to go check those out as well. We will see you guys in the next video next week, and have a fantastic rest of your weekend.